Hey everybody. Well, here I am for rope video part 3. This is the video that I didn't think it'd ever get stretched into. But I think I wound up with almost 3 hours of footage. And there was some things that I cut out, and there was a shelter that went bad. And I'm not going to throw it in. I'm going to do a whole new video on it in the future. And so anyway, this is wound up getting stretched into 3 parts, and I'm hoping I'm editing and adding in everything that I had. And so anyway, this is the opening for the video, and while I'm out here, there was a ladder that I decided that I wanted to throw in, because the shelter that didn't work out right that I was going to film was a tree platform up high in the trees. And it wasn't all rope. It was actually done with the wooden slats. But then, after I got done filming it, I realized there was 2 different ladders for it. And one of the ladders I'll show that doesn't use rope when I redo that video in the future. But the other ladder is kind of a cool ladder, and there's different reasons for why you may want to get up into a tree. And but anyway, I'll show you basically how it's done, and then we'll move on to the rest of the video. This ladder, for the ladder that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using 25 feet of rope, okay? And this ladder will be, I think, head high. If you want to do one higher, you'll need about 50 feet of rope. And it is going to use, it's going to use a lark's head on one side, and on the other side, it's going to use a double overhand knot, I think. If I'm wrong, correct me. And I've been wrong in the other 2 videos on several knots. But anyway, that's beside the point. What you want to start with is a downed hardwood, but you don't want it laying on the ground, okay? Because you want one that's just falling over, because if it's laying on the ground, it's more than likely rotten, okay? And so, just like in the other one, I'll be using my Silky Pocket Boy, okay? Because a lot of times sawing is just easier than chopping. So what we're going to do is, this one's laid down and the other end's up in the tree. It's not completely rotten because it hasn't been laying on the ground. So what I'll do is I'm going to saw it. I think I'm going to saw it into 2 pieces about head high, if I can get it out of it, if the diameter doesn't get too small as it goes up the tree. All right, see if we can get a little bit of this bark off here. Yeah, this is still a reasonably solid tree, I believe. Alright, hi-ho, a sawing we will go. Now I'm going to cut on one side, and then I'm going to cut the underneath. Alright, then I'm going to saw the top. Alright, and that, no matter how big the tree is, if you'll put a cut underneath it, it'll keep from pinching up your saw, because if you're just sawing on the top, as the tree falls in, it'll bind up on your saw. So you want to cut underneath first, so that when you saw through the top, it falls out the bottom. The way I'm going to measure this head high is I'll put my foot at the bottom, and then just lay my head over like that. Just like that. Alright, we'll make a mark, be about right there. Alright, now we'll go on the top. Woo! Timber! Alright, now let's see if we got it. Just a little bit overhead high. That's what I want. And I'll use this a little bit overhead high. I'll use this as a guide to saw the other one. And then I'll show you how to tie it up as a ladder. Alright, now what you want to do is put the old saw up. And what we're going to do is we're going to shave all the bark off of it. Get out the old hardtack too. What you want to do is you want to cut the bark off of it. because if the bark is on there, the bark can tend to make the knots a little loose. So, shave a little of the bark off. And that bark makes good tinder. It makes an excellent fire starter. Because you can see the way it's all shaven off there. It's like a giant feather stick almost. And this is also a good preliminary way of making sure that the log is still reasonably intact and not rotten. See, that would make us some instant fire starter right there. Nice dry stuff. Alright, I'm going to finish shaving these down and then we'll work on our ladder. Okay, to start with, what you want to do is you want to find you a hill or a log to lay the two on parallel. Alright, you lay them down just like that right there. And you want them about two boot widths wide. You don't want it too far apart because it won't work out right. And what you do is you start with your rope and you sit on the two to keep them stabilized, and you tie one knot up at the top to get you started. Now if they won't really hold your weight with you sitting on them, you don't want to make a ladder out of them anyway. So this is a pretty good test before you ever get started. Alright, see, that's not too bad. I can sit on them and they're holding up my weight. Okay. I'll move you behind me so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, I got you behind me. Now, this is going to make more sense in a minute, but basically I will go with two boot widths wide on these ladders. And what it is with these ladders, you don't necessarily want to lean it up against a tree. The bigger the diameter of the tree, the bigger apart these are, because you don't want this just sitting against the tree, because when you put your foot on the ladder, it'll pull the logs together. You want them kind of straddling on the sides of the tree, and I'll show you in a minute when we get it set up. Okay, what you want to do to start with is you'll just tie whatever knot that you want to start with. Okay, on one side. Alright. Alright, you get that top one good and tight, and you're sitting on these logs, and you got them stabilized. Okay, now for the lark's head, what you want to do, and I hope there's room because of this dirt here, you go over the log, okay, and then you go back over your rope, okay. Now once you go back over your rope, you saw how I did that? I went up under. You go back through the rope. And see, that's a lark's head. Okay? Alright, you want to get that good and tight right there. Alright, now, once that's like that, what you want to do is you want to wrap it around, because when you go backwards on a lark's head, it locks it in. And then you come over here to this side. Hope you can see it. And then you wrap the rope around the top and drop it in. And then what you do, okay, that's your top step. And then what you do is you wrap it around a few times until you get to your next step. Okay? Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to move the camera over here closer so you can see what I'm doing on the second step. A little closer here. Now what I did is, once I came over to this from the first step, I went round and round, and then I stopped. Okay. Now what you want to do is, once you've gone round and round and you've stopped where your next step is going to want to be, you'll pull back on your rope. Okay. And you'll go around twice. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, which I'm sure somebody will. That is a double overhand knot. Okay, because I went through it twice. Now, here's for the lark's head again. Okay, I'm pretty sure this lark's head's right. All a lark's head is 2 turns away from being a prusik knot. Okay, go over the log Okay? Once you've gone over the log, you go back over what you just did. Okay? Once you've done that, you're going to hold on to the loop. Okay? I just threw it over. Reach under, pick it up, and go in through the loop that you were holding. Okay? Alright, and that's a lark's head. Okay? Then what you want to do to lock that lark's head in, you go around the back side. See, my rope's already coming apart. It's going to be real messy here in a minute. You come back around the back part, cross over, and then you lock in on top. And then you wrap it around one time. Okay? Now this is kind of lengthy. Once you've got it wrapped around there, that kind of holds these two together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move you down. I'm going to do another one of these. Let's see. I'm going to do another one. You wrap around it a couple of times until you get to where you want your next step to be, which is right here. Okay? Let's see. Okay, next step is right here. And you can barely see. There you go. That's better. There's your next step right there. Okay, now, wrapped all the way around, went under. Now, what I'm going to take is my wad of rope. I'm going to pull back, and I'm going to put it through the loop twice. Okay? You got to hold on to this rope. It's starting to get kind of messy. Alright, then you just work that around. You can kind of see on this side what that looks like. And you pull it over and lock it in. Okay, now let's go with the lark's head again on this side. Over. And then I'm going to go over the log. And I'm going to hold on. I'm going to drop this in. And I'm going to hold on to this part. Okay? And then I'm going to reach under and feed it through what I just held. And there you go again. There's another lark's head. Okay? Now, if you're pulling in this direction, it doesn't lock as good as if you pull back, like I said. Throw it under. Wrap it over on top of this loop. And then you want to go around twice, or make a turn around it. Alright, how's that? Now what I'm going to do, if you want to see any of that more, you'll have to rewind it and look. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way down to the bottom of the ladder, and then I'll show you how it looks up against the tree. Okay? And there is the finished ladder. Okay? Portable, pick it up, carry it anywhere with you. Okay? Now, whatever knot you want to use to start it out with, and then you do a lark's head, wrap it around, double overhand knot, lark's head, go back, wrap it around, double overhand knot, wrap it back, lark's head, wrap it back, all the way down till you get to the bottom, and then you just tie up whatever rope you have left. Okay? Now I'll show you how you can pick it up and move it from tree to tree. Alright, now you pick it up with both hands, but you carry it with one hand when you're going from place to place. And that right there is how you'll carry it. You'll carry it just like that right there when you're walking through the woods going from tree to tree. Okay? Now let's ease you on over to this tree and let's see if I can climb it. See how it works. There may be too much stuff on that tree. Alright. Now, this is the perfect tree. The reason that it is the perfect tree for this size ladder is because the top of it isn't necessarily laying against the round part, because if it is, it'll pull in when you step on it. But when it can be wedged over on each side, that's a little bit better. So let's try to climb it up and see if it works. See, it holds up pretty good. Now, what you can do is you can move it. Let's move it to another tree. Let's move it to a smaller diameter tree right over there. And you can stand up on top of the ladder if you want to. Now, I made that as kind of a short ladder because the length doesn't matter. And the thing about this is it can be a permanent ladder for your shelter, your outdoor shelter. And another thing it can be is it can be moved from tree to tree to do different things. Now, I'll show you something else. The ladder is more stable when it hugs either side of the tree, but you wind up losing use of the top rung. Now, if you put it on a larger tree, which I'll show you that. See on this big. Now, sometimes depending on the diameter of the tree, see, once again, that's how you carry it. Depending on the diameter of the tree, if it's too big, sometimes if it doesn't fit over this radius, if it's like flat, when you put your foot in it, sometimes it'll pull these two together and lock your foot in. Okay? And that seemed to grip into that one okay. Alright. Now, that is the permanent ladder. Alright, moving right along. This next little tip is going to involve my hammock. And this is going to kind of knock out a few birds with one stone, because people have asked what my hammock kit looked like. Okay, so I'll show you that just real quick. And while I'm doing this, I had to actually delete a video in the past when I dealt with a hammock, because people attacked me so bad. And when I do these setups, this rope addition, there's two tricks that goes with a hammock. And when I do this, I'm not making fun of hammock campers. This is a trick that you can take or you can leave. You might can use it, you might not. You never know. If you carry rope, you might can. Okay, with that being said, it's like I said, you can take it or leave it. Not making fun of hammock campers. I was attacked in the past. I hope it don't happen again. Now, I use an Eno double eagle's nest. I carry that in my pack. I carry it with, if I remember right, these are called slap straps. Okay, with a little aluminum tubing that goes in it. I put it up with a marlin spike hitch. I carry an extra guy line in my kit. I carry my smaller net hammock to put my backpack in. And then I carry a seal nylon tarp. Okay, it goes over the guy line, the ridge line up above the hammock. I probably won't be putting it up. I'm just going to be setting up the hammock to show you the two rope tricks that go with it. Okay, and of course the rope. Okay, so first thing you want to do, find two strong trees that you string your hammock to. Let's do that. Now, anybody that's interested in how I set my hammock up, I always use these straps and a marlin spike hitch. Okay, double eagle's nest. It's a nylon hammock. Pull it out. Let's see where's the other end. Alright. I think this cord is am steel that's on it. It comes into a loop. What you do is you take one of your straps or webbing. One end is just bare. The other end got a loop in it. Wrap it around the tree. Okay. Alright, you choke it up, you got the other end hanging free. Then what you do, take a little piece of this aluminium or aluminum tubing. I like to call it that shiny silver stuff. And like I showed you before, the marlin spike hitch, you just make a loop. Okay, and then you fold it over the top, and then you put the tubing through, and then you pull it. Okay, once that's done, you take the other end, let's see, I done forgot how to do it. you run it through and over and under. There's a way of doubling it up, and I forgot it. I was trying to remember it. But basically that's what it is. This thing right here will hold over it. And I believe what you can do is you can loop these on top and then scoot them in, and it'll give you double security. And then sometimes if the rain comes down the webbing, it'll stop right here and drip down this leg. Now I'll go to the other end and rig it up. One of the cool things, some people are probably going to wonder why I don't use rope on my hammock. But these things right here that are made out of am steel that are on the end of the hammock, they're really cool because they're adjustable. You can pull this in and make this loop smaller. You just pull this line. Let's see. Here I go looking like an idiot again. There it goes. It's kind of tight. You pull it through and it makes this loop smaller, and that's how you can adjust it between the trees easily. So you can make that loop real small. Can't tell if I see you over here. There you are. Alright. Put that on either side. Then wrap it around again on each side. Alright, there, now I'm good to go. And that's a lot more stronger than rope on a hammock. If you use rope on a hammock, and that's not good. You're liable to be laying on the ground. It's been about a year since I've used this thing, so I have to redeem myself to keep from looking like an idiot. You feed the webbing through, because now I remember I had to bumble with it for a minute. Feed the webbing through, put it on either side, okay, and then fold it over on either side. And give it a tug. You should be secure like that. Alright, I know the hammock is like a banana. I chose the wrong trees. I'm not going to sleep in it anyway. This is just a basic idea to show up. You set up your hammock, take your rope, and you're building a barrier. I know it's not foolproof, but you're building like a barrier for falling limbs. Now this first line can be your ridge line for your tarp. You kind of get the basic idea of this. I'm just going back and forth from the tree to tree. What that's going to do, I think I haven't got you up high enough. There you are, that's better. Here I was screwing you up. See if I got enough to go down the other end again. No, I don't. Alright. Now what the idea is if you've got rope with you, and you're in a high storm of some kind, high winds, then what you need to do, I know this isn't completely foolproof, but the idea behind it is if you're in your hammock, okay, now this bottom one, let me move back. The idea behind this is that bottom one, you got your hammock mounted down below, okay, and then the bottom one is going to be for your ridge line, and what you've got is a series of ropes going up and down, because that way, like I say, it's not foolproof. That way, when a limb, if a limb hits, a limb is going to hit the top rope and it'll slow it down, and then it'll hit the bottom ropes, it'll slow it down either further, and if it makes it all the way down to here, then there's a very good possibility there's a very good possibility that it may just stop that limb from crashing down onto your hammock. Okay, it's a high wind barrier. I'm gonna try to breeze through this next hammock setup, and this is probably the one that I'll get laughed at, made fun of, and insulted a lot, but we can't all be the same, can we? All right, what you want to do, what this is for is this, I can't take credit for this. This was shown to me by a friend in Florida named Bill, and it's something that you would use in wetlands or the swamp if you want to get up away from like snakes and whatever, alligators, whatever. If you just want to be up a little bit, if you want to put a hammock up high between two trees. This is basically what you do. Another rope trick, okay? Tie it off about waist high, okay? All right. Once you've tied it off waist high, all right, you're gonna go to the other tree and wrap around. Down at the other end of the tree, I've tied off down there. You come to this tree, wrap around, get it good and tight. All right, you go over and you pull it tight towards the center line of the tree. Go around. Now this time what you want to do is you want to go in a helical. You want to wrap around as if you were building a hawser type rope, where you're making one strong line out of it. Okay, I've gone around that other end and wrapped around the tree, and now as I'm coming back, I'm going to wrap around the rope all the way over as if I'm making one huge rope. You see right here how I have it wrapped around the tree, and instead of coming off on either side of the tree, I've wrapped it around itself to make it stronger. Okay, when I get down to the end right here, what I do is I put about 4 or 5 turns on it to keep it from slipping, and then I'll finish it off with a double overhand knot. I've already got one knot on there, so there's my second knot. And sometimes for security, if you've got room, you can just put that through the loop if it'll stay. Wrap it around a couple of times. Kind of like the way you do a kill a catch. You just wrap the loose end around. Now once this is done, you want to come up probably about 3 feet higher and wrap another rope. The next one is going to be up about 3 feet. All right, that's about 3 feet above the other one. And what you want to do is you want to run in this direction and do the same thing that I just did on the bottom with the hawser style wraps to make it one long strong rope. Let's take a look at what we have here now. We have a rope from one end of the tree to the other. We have another rope from another end of the tree. Now, for the sake of filming, let's say that you're standing in water doing all this in the wetlands or the swamp. Okay. How high you want to be off the ground, you can go up as high as 5 feet with the first rope, but you need to go about 3 feet with the second rope. And if you wanted to, you could actually put 3 rungs of ropes depending on how high you want to be. But that could be potentially dangerous. Okay. Now the thing is what you do is you want to stand on the first rope to tie the hammock here, and then you jump back down and walk with the hammock, jump up on the rope and tie it there. So let's see how that looks. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start at that end. This setup isn't high enough for me to stand up here because I've got everything down lower so that I can film. So, but what you could do, I'll try to stand up here. I'll move the camera here in just a minute. Figures I'd have this all tangled up here. Now this is my net hammock. This is more of a survival type device. It's not necessarily for comfort. Let me aim the camera up there a minute. See, the way it was intended now is I'm standing on the rope, okay? Normally everything, if you want to be, the higher up you want to be off the water, the higher off this stuff will all be. That's what I do now. Take this. This is a bigger tree, so I can't wrap around as many times. Like I say, I'm probably going to get a lot of insults over this one. On these rings, on these net style hammocks, try to put as many turns as you possibly can on the ring. Remember what I explained about what the rings are? I mean what turns are? Because a lot of times turns will absorb a lot of the pressure of the knot. Alright. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to get in the thing, because what you do, you can put a higher up ridge line or you can just use this as a ridge line, but what you do is you walk out on the bottom rope while holding onto the top rope, and you use this to steady yourself while you're standing on the bottom rope as you're getting in the hammock. Now you may get a good laugh out of this. These hammocks are hard to get into even on the ground. But it's a good swamp hammock because you can also use it as a fish net if you have to. The moment of truth. How's my rope stretching and my knot? This is a doozy. My hammock's all tied up. Alright. There we go. Oh, you want to pull these net hammocks up around you. See, there I am. I've got into it. And I'm, depending on how high up the rope is, that's how high up you can be off the water. No big deal. And then when you get out of it, hold on to the rope and put your feet right there and say you're off the water. Now everything flexes. That's going to happen. Everything's going to flex, but that just happens with the nature of it. Now Bill told me, he said that if you carry enough rope, you can put 3-4 levels and you can be way up there. Okay, it's risky, you may fall out, but like I say, please don't attack me for it. It's a trick you can use if you want to. I'm gonna try this one more time while I got it set up, because now I remember I don't use this setup very often. I was taught it and I've only actually set it up and used it twice, because there's no alligators in North Georgia. There's snakes, but no alligators. But I think what you do is as you climb out on the rope, you grab the other end of the hammock and pull it up and hold onto it with the guy wire. That way, as you're getting it'll be more spread out as you're getting into it, and you can grab the other end of the hammock and pull it up around you. So let's give it one more try just for laughs while it's set up, because I don't set this up very often. All right. Grab one end of the hammock, grab the other end, and just lay in it. And pull it up around me. Alright, this is an extremely steep hillside, and I'm going to try to breeze through real quick and show you if you don't have a hammock, or if the trees ain't quite big enough. You can see the size of this tree. If the trees ain't quite big enough, I'm going to show you how to be able to rig up a place to sleep if you get stuck on a hillside. Okay, you never know when it's going to happen. You need rope, a foam pad, and a bivy bag. Alright, this is going to be a doozy to film this one, but basically what you want to do, and when I move the camera over to the side, you'll be able to see what kind of an angle I'm at. But what you want to do basically is weave like a guardrail barrier type deal between the trees, and you want to weave it loosely. Now when you go around the trees, you want to go a complete turn. Now, being on a hillside, I'm actually having to use a stick to keep from falling down. But what I'm going to do next is you can see that the barrier is woven very loosely between the trees. See how loose and floppy it is? What I'm going to do next is I'm going to weave some sticks in between the rope and then lean it over. And you'll see here in a minute. Man, I think this is the hardest thing I've ever filmed. Alright. Okay. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take these sticks and you randomly weave them through. So that what you're doing is tying all these together. And you kind of lean them over at an angle a little bit. Let's see. Weave several sticks through, okay, put them at an angle. Now I'm going to move the camera here in just a minute so you can get an even better view of what I'm doing. Kids really love this setup. It's kind of a fun thing, but I don't know if this is necessarily a bushcraft thing or more of a survival thing. I don't think I've ever hated filming as much as I have on this hillside. I keep falling down. Alright, I'm going to show you this view of it, and then I'm going to try to move the camera back uphill so that I show how I lay in it. I don't even know how this is going to show up. I'm trying to get as best as I can. But you've got the rope barrier built this way, and after you shove the sticks in, then what you do is you scoot them out a little bit. Kind of give yourself a V, and then you lay the pad on it. Alright, I got you a little closer. This is about a 45 degree, and then the hill goes uphill. So what you do now is you just lay your pad right in the center of it, and then you've got you a nice cushy place to lay. I'm going to try to go downhill and film a little bit of this. As you can see, the way the trees are 90 degrees, you can see how steep of a hill that I'm on. Okay? So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to show you here that you'll have to try this for yourself for it to make sense. But what you do is you weave a loose rope barrier between the two, run sticks, weave them in between the rope, tilt them over to angle, stab them in the ground, and then put your foam pad right in the middle of it. See, I'm out of breath just trying to do all this. Now I'm gonna walk up the hill and show you another in-shot view as I put the before I put the bivy bag on. Not much of a view here, but you can see there's the hill, there's my barrier, and you see where the sticks are hanging. They're stabbed in the ground going out, and you're giving yourself kind of a cubby hole to lay in. I'm out of breath. I hate filming on a hill. Now you can kind of see I got you on the upper view here. You're going downhill, and there's a slope. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my bivy bag, and I'm gonna throw my bivy bag across it. Probably not gonna crawl inside it, but I'm just gonna throw it on it, lay it on you to kind of show you how it works. So hang in there. And that's how you do it. Alright, that was horrible. The heat in this video is starting to take its toll on me, so this is going to be the last thing I'm going to show. The next thing is going to be going down a hill, rappelling down a hill or a cliff without the proper rope and without the proper equipment. Because most people will use harnesses and the carabiners and everything that you need, and the figure eights, you know, the actual mountaineering type devices that's proper for the job. Now, this isn't something you want to do all the time, but if you have to, you can, okay? Now, what you do is you take roughly about 100 feet of rope. If you've got 200, that's great. Put it into 2 coils, okay? Hold 2 coils in each hand, and then I'm going to show you what to do next. Alright, the hill is down that way, okay? So what you do is you find your reasonably strong tree that you want to latch a hold of, and you just take the rope, take 1 coil, and throw it on one side of the tree and hold on to this side. Then you grab the center, other coil, throw the other coil on the other side of the tree. Okay? And then I'll move the camera and show you what you do next. You're around the tree so that whenever you want to, if you're going to stay at the bottom, you just pull one end of the rope and it'll come around the tree. Okay? If you're going to leave this rope and go up and down, like if there's a water source down and you want to go back and forth, you want to wrap it around the tree once. But if you're going to get the rope after you're down, just throw it around the tree. Now there's 2 different methods of doing this. You don't necessarily just want to grab the rope, because you're using just pure hand strength to let yourself down, and that could be considered dangerous. And your hands could get sweaty. So one of the methods, there's 2 to do it. One of the methods is to put the rope behind your head, okay? Don't get it caught in your do-rag. And put your arm over and under and grab, okay? And on the back side, put your arm under. You scoot this hand down, scoot the other one down, and see, that's how you slowly let yourself down. Now the way to pull yourself back up is you pull up, and it's hard to do. Yeah, it's harder to pull yourself up with that method. Scoot your hand up. You can't have your arm wrapped around the back one when you're pulling yourself up, okay? That's one method for letting yourself down. The other method, and some people consider it dangerous, is to make a loop and put it over your shoulder right here. Now some people will put this loop around their chest or their stomach, but if you slip, that's a lot of pressure and it could crush you. So I will throw it over my shoulder. Now, you grab the back of the rope and you just slowly feed the rope around your body as you're letting yourself down. Okay? To pull yourself up, you pull on the rope, and then you pull in this direction around your chest. See? And you can actually lift yourself up. And you want to try to use one hand at a time. See, I'm holding onto the rope one at a time. You don't want to let go of both of them at once. Alright, I hope y'all had fun. I sure did. That's part 2. There ain't gonna be a part 3. This rope's about killed me, and so's the temperature. Hope you had fun. Hope you learned something. Get out and enjoy yourself while you can. See if I can do this again. Alright, wait a minute. I'm on the wrong side of the rope. Make a loop. Hop in it. Over the shoulder it goes. There we go. Alright. Now I'm good to go. Go down there to that creek. I will see you in the next one.